Welcome to episode 59 of the Austin Downbeat. Hi, everyone. I'm Kat. So good to be back. I had a little week off, but I am back and I have a very great conversation with a wonderful guest. Before I get into that, you know what we like to do is the rundown. So you guys have a nice little cheat sheet for who's playing this week, which covers June 27th through July 3rd. Cannot believe we're almost in July, for some of the people that are playing here in Austin. So this should make it easy. On the 27th, you have Brandon Pattier playing at Geraldine's. Matt Hubbard is playing at the Continental Club. On the 28th, my guest today, Graham Weber, is doing his songwriter series at the O4 Center, which he will have Aaron Ivey, Caitlin Connor, and Sarah Dossie with him that night. Also, that same night, Kelly McWee is playing at Seaboys, Heart and Soul. On the 29th, you have Natalie Price playing at the Zilker Botanical Garden. You also have David Shabani doing the Drop-In series at the Long Center. And you have Courtney Santana at the Parker Jazz Club. And you also have the very elusive, mysterious Embers. That's EMBRZ. Follow him. It's EDM music that is like the only EDM that I would ever listen to. He is at Kingston Nightclub doing his thing. On the 30th, you have Brody Lane at Lucky Rabbit. And July 1st, you have Madame Radar at Pootie's. You have David Hamburger at New World Deli and Jeff Plankenhorn at the Saxon Pub. That man travels more than anyone I've ever known, and he's going to be here in town. On the 2nd of July, we have Allie Holder at Meanwhile Brewing. That's a great place to see a show. And last but not least, Monday night on the 3rd, you have Monday Night Supper Club at El Mercado South. And then you have Bob Schneider doing his thing at Saxon Pub for Lonely Land. Okay, plenty for you to do this coming week. My guest today is the wonderful Graham Weber. He is the front man of a new band called Restos, which is rock and roll mixed with Americana, born from the ashes of a former band. We talk about hitting a reset and a fresh start and what that looks like, what it feels like, and all the good stuff that kind of, typically on a fresh start means we've gone through something hard. But we also talk about the good things, the fruit that kind of comes off of that process. He's a very prominent thread in this music community fabric, I would say, does so many great things for the city and for the musicians in it. And we have a wonderful conversation. So I'm a big fan of not only what he does creatively, but just as a human being. He's a good guy. I loved getting a chance to get to know him and learning things that have nothing to do with music, like he likes to bowl. So do I. Anyway, without further ado, I will let you get to it. Enjoy my conversation with the wonderful Graham Weber. Yay, I'm so happy to welcome Graham Weber to the show. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to see you and meet you. Meet you.
Yes. I'm gonna change my name on here. Is that something?
Yes. It's one
Yeah,
of the things we can talk about that too. But yeah, change your name.
that's is nice. This is a fun call. This is
Yes.
easy one. Yeah,
It's not work.
it's not
Well,
work.
you have a lot going on, so I kind of want to jump right in. You seem like a busy guy. Um, you have new music coming out with your band Restos.
Yes, we
And
do.
so, just so people know, you were formerly Western Youth. Talk a little bit about that change. What was that? Or if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of got our what we're supposed to say and what we aren't supposed to say. But there were six guys in this band before, for quite a while,
Mhm.
and now there's five of us,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's kind of the deal. But we've got a new album. The five of us have an album coming out, and we had to change our name. There's been a there's been some I'm trying to be cool about it, but
Yeah.
there are other people involved, and there's some disagreements over some royalties and some rights and things like that. So we're working through that through third party mediation and things like that. So
Yeah.
but what we didn't want to do was just stop playing. The five of us still wanted to play together,
Yeah.
um and so to move forward, the name Western Youth had got kind of tied up, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Um, and trying to be very diplomatic here, but so we got a new name and started a new LLC and had to start from scratch. So it kind of it's not awesome to have to rebrand, and we
Yeah.
all put a lot into the last thing, but it is what it is, and we didn't want to stop working, and truthfully it's been a blessing to kind of just make a fresh start, kind of going with a new attitude, and the new music that we're writing together. It's my favorite stuff. I think all five of us are really happy about the creative process. The new music that will be on the next thing, we actually go in and demo 4 new songs tomorrow night.
Okay.
And these new songs are all written with the five of us are all really collaborating. We bring something in and we write it together. And I'm still writing most of the words, but all five of us are really contributing to like the composition and the structure, and there's no. It's the first time I've been in a lot of bands. This one is like people can have disagreements and they can have different ideas, and nobody's getting upset about that, and everyone's listening to each other, and if it's something that doesn't work, then we move on. But if there is a way to kind of make it better or make it a little more inventive, we're all there for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of growing musically. It's growing. I think it's just cool. It's very cool music. I like what we're doing right now. It's if I
I-
heard it, I would like it, and that's kind
yeah.
of the litmus test for us.
I
So
will second that. I got to sneak a listen, and I've heard obviously what you've already put out, the 2 songs that are out, and it is really good. Question for you: do you find that because for logistical reasons and all of that stuff, which is totally part of the business? So I'm glad we're kind of talking about it because it is very much part of being a musician sometimes. But energetically and creatively, do you find that this kind of hitting a recess is pulling anything new or kind of changing the way that you approach writing and creating?
yeah, it
And how
definitely
so
is.
specifically?
It definitely is, probably more so because I think, I don't want to speak for the other guys, but we have talked about it. And, Mark Nathan, our guitar player, he brought in a kind of a structure of a song, a chord progression and some ideas. And Chris, our bass player, had a bass line that he was just toying around with. And Brian's, our drummer, will send me just drum beats, or we'll just get around and we'll spend some time in rehearsal. So coming up with music organically, it's not just for a long time as a solo artist, and in many of the other bands I've been in, including Western Youth, it would be um I would usually bring something in, and then the band would fill it out, like,
Right.
here's the song, here's how it goes. And there's some of that still, but most of the time, in the past, for me, it was like, all right, I've written the song, or I've co-written it with someone, and now let's make it a band song.
Yeah.
Whereas now we're kind of approaching it and not sticking to a genre by any means. In fact, trying to like be a little more expansive, especially in the newer stuff that we're going to start recording. I guess it still falls under that Americana umbrella. It's a
Mhm.
big umbrella.
It is.
Uh, but we're trying to, like, Brian's a big pop. He loves pop music. You would never know it for the kind of music that he plays unless you kind of dove in. And
Hmm.
Mark is, everybody's kind of got their own thing that they like to do, or that they listen to. And maybe this band was, we're still a rock and roll band, but we're trying to draw from those things that we all really dig, and make something fresh,
Yeah.
And so for me, as a probably, I am definitely the main lyricist in this band, but trying to think about, you know if it's more of a poppy thing, then let's not simplify it, but let's trim the fat even more. Let's the Tom
Mhm.
Petty "Don't Bore Us" get to the chorus. Like let's get it down. So
Yeah.
um and then also I think thematically and the things that I've been thinking about, I mean, there are things that come with the end of a relationship, like a band breaking up.
Yeah.
Or but a lot of times, a lot of the songs I've written for myself to play that don't really fit. I've tried to in the past couple years be sort of like focusing on gratitude and focusing on, you know, appreciating the people in your life and appreciating, life and dealing with the inevitability of of what happens to all of us eventually, and just trying to like kind of be present. And I think working that in with some good rock and roll songs and not being hokey about it. But
Mhm.
I think that's something that, I've written so many sad songs and I'll still
Yeah.
write more. But at this point, I mean, I'm very lucky to be working with the people I work with and have the friends and family that I do. And
Yeah.
I want to make people feel good. I used to joke about bumming people out all the time. And I own that. And I wore it like a crown,
Yeah.
and I'd still like to play a bummer jam, but at the same time, why
I've
not,
never heard it called that.
give something back to people, make them feel something, something positive,
Yeah.
without being too kumbaya about it.
I know I've had this conversation with so many people, musicians, writers, and all that. And it's funny because in my own musical taste, I do kind of like the pain. My favorite is when it's like a sad lyric or sad story, but they kind of mask it with a either a sweetness in the melody and the tempo and all that, or like a upbeat, where it's like
Yep.
hit, punch me but hug me too. You know what
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. That's like the best. It's not easy to do that well,
No.
but it's a great move if you can pull it off. Like, and
Yeah.
I love it. I'm the same way. If I just when I think about the kind of music I listen to and prefer and still put on all the time, most of it is not really up like positive,
No.
upbeat music. I like sad songs. I like slow songs,
Yeah.
um but playing them, especially when you have a band that,
Right.
you can say the saddest thing in the world, but if it's rocking, then everybody's into it. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
to watch people,
Rocking
bobbing their
out
head.
to like
Yeah,
heartbreak
yeah,
music.
yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, I want to make sure, and I will mention it at the end too, but you have some things coming up. So I want to make sure people, sometimes if you don't listen all the way through to this conversation, I want to make sure people hear it in the beginning. So in July, which is coming very, very soon, it's insane. You have
Yeah.
your third single coming out. And then at the end of July, on the 29th, you're playing at Central Machine Works with the
Yep.
band. And then you have a whole August residency at Seaboys, which is such a great venue. Do you love playing there?
Love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
yeah.
We really wanted to do a residency there for a long time, and then we just really couldn't get in. And then we played South by this year. That was
Mhm.
awesome. It was a great day. Great show. And then we filled in for our friend Andrea McGee.
Mhm.
Um, she was out of town for one of her residency dates, and we had another really good evening there. And Celeste and Steve and Diana were so nice to us, and they let us. We said, "When do you want to do it?" And we told them, and they said, "All right, let's do it." So we wanted to make it. We're doing the early slot by choice, so we can get, we're um or, I'm not
I
an
get
old
it.
man, but I do like the fact that we did Andrea's show, and it was done at 8:30, and we
Oh,
still were able to hang out with a bunch of people, and I was home by 10, and I
uh,
had to wake up and take my daughter to school the next morning. So it was like all it was great, and the staff has been great. And I think it's just maybe a little easier time for some of our friends and fans to come out, and there's no door charge on it. So
oh,
we're there to kind of work out some new stuff and get ready to release the record in September. And we're gonna have special guests every week to come up and do kind of a song, a few songs in the middle, and maybe sit in with us. I know Jane Ellen Bryant's going to come on the 10th, and Evan Charles is going to be there at the end of the month. And I don't know exactly who else is going to be there, but we got a lot of buddies, and yeah, I'm really excited about Sea Boys. And then we will on September 29th, we'll take September off from Sea Boys, and then on the 29th of September, which there's a lot going on that night in town now, but we'll be at the Continental Club. So we'll be releasing the album there. And Jamie Harris, who's our bandmate and our sister, she's coming in. She's going to open the show. Then she'll
Wow.
sing with us. And then a band called The Irons will play the late slot, which is Jamie's little brother is in that band. And they're a whole lot of fun. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a fun night. So
One of the things, Sea Boys is such a great room to see music. It always gets so packed. And you can feel the community. And that's one thing I want to talk to you about is just this wonderful community that you are definitely a thread that is woven through. You're everywhere. And definitely as I've been building this show, been watching, everyone and what they're doing and kind of, figuring out like, what is this beautiful thing in this city? Talk a little bit about just your experience. I know you're not from here, but I feel like you've been here for a while, right?
yeah,
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 you're from
absolutely.
Ohio. I'm from Pennsylvania. I was born in
Where are you from in PA?
well, I was born in Erie.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I
What
know it well. Yeah,
I'm so
80
sorry.
miles from where I moved from. Yeah.
What city in Ohio are you from?
Well, I'm from Cincinnati,
Okay.
but I mean high school in Cincinnati, but then I went to Kent State.
Okay.
Um, and there were a lot of kids from Erie that went to Kent State. It's within a radius where they got in-state tuition. So a lot of
Yeah.
Western PA kids, a lot of friends from over there.
Oh, very cool.
Um, yeah, so I moved here from Kent, and played in Akron and Kent and
Okay.
Cleveland and Pittsburgh. My first show with Slade Cleaves was in Pittsburgh, and that
Nice.
that turned out to be a very big deal down the road for my life. But yeah, that's cool. How long have you been down here?
Well, so I was born there, went to school there, and then I really kind of grew up on the West Coast in Santa Barbara and
Mm,
LA. It's just
nice.
really tough.
Yeah, too bad. A
But
little
I've been,
different than Erie, PA. Yeah,
oh, that's why we went. I
right.
was
I don't
like,
blame you.
pew, see you later. But I've been here for 10 years. I just had my 10 year on like Cinco de Mayo. So yeah.
Congratulations. Good
Thank
time. It's a
you.
good
Yeah,
anniversary day
it
for
is.
Austin.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we moved down in December of '04.
Okay.
And I'd never been here. My wife had never been here, but a lot of the writers I really liked were from here, or Austin adjacent.
Hmm.
Um, and I mentioned Slade, and I'd opened for him, and then a few months later we went to Newport Folk, and we saw him and his wife Karen there, and we were just like, we're moving to Austin. We've never they lived here, so thought that was good
Must be
enough.
okay.
And I'm a big Towns fan, and Guy Clark, and those guys, from what I knew, they had some connection to this place. So
Mhm.
and Towns was long gone by then, but that's what I knew about. So um yeah, we came down, and we were going to be here for 2 years, and it's going on, what is this, 18 and a half years now, I guess. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, I love it. It's a very special place, and I talk about it a lot when I travel, and I mean, I'm a big flag waver for the city when I'm here and when I'm not, for our community. I have my issues with certain things, but not the artistic community here, not the musicians community. I think I put it up against any other city in the world, from an artist standpoint. And we don't have a lot of the business that many other places have. But I don't know if that's a bad thing sometimes, like this is a place where you kind of come, and you can learn your craft, and
Mhm.
you can play with killer players, and I mean, and I like Nashville, and I love New York City, and I love LA, and but nobody really is, I don't know, it's just more easy going. I mean, nobody's
Mhm.
expecting some huge day rate or a union fee or something like that, which I don't think is a bad thing, but it's just a little easier. It's a little more, oh, you know that guy? Oh yeah, I know that guy. Like all these it's a very, very small city in that respect. So I've gotten to do a lot of things with a lot of amazing artists, and I'm excited to see when they love you more when you leave and you come home, so but it's I love to cheer for seeing my friends go out and do amazing things, and then they all still want to kind of be back here. Maybe some of them are in Lockhart now and some of them are in other places, but it's still Austin, and um and it's the people talk about a chosen family a lot, and
Yes.
I don't think I don't think I'm overselling it,
Mhm.
where I mean, it's 116 degrees at the heat index today, and the like the political landscape in Texas is very not cool with me,
Mhm.
but it's the people that keep me here. Like I wouldn't want to be in another place in another city. I'm sure there are great people everywhere. I know there are, but they're
Yeah.
not my people, and
Mhm.
I like my people. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree with you. I feel like this city, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of different entry points into the city, and there's a lot of like space in each of them, meaning like if you want to just kind of come here as a young musician and sort of just like get your feet wet, start meeting people, like there's room for you to do that and there's time for you to do that, and no one's going to make you feel like you shouldn't be doing that. And then there's also another section for like people that are like, I want to, maybe at the next level
Yep.
over or up or whatever. But I mean, I talk to people on this show at so many different stages of a career, and what that's like. And I just feel like, I mean, it's just throw a rock and hit someone that's doing their own thing and figuring it out, and they're meeting the people like yourself, people that are so embedded and like, and also so good. Like you're such a good person, like you give back to the community, and you're just one of those, I feel like, kind of foundational people. um and I feel like, yeah, the city just gives a lot of different places for musicians and creatives to sort of land, and I wish it supported them more. I wish there was better infrastructure and more organized for folks to sort of tap into what is here, because actually there is a lot here too to help people, but I don't think they know about it.
Yeah.
you know yeah.
Well, I think that, Austin does have some things that a lot of other cities don't have. Ham is a great example, and that's been a blueprint. And
Yeah.
people have tried to recreate that in other places, and Sims is a good one. These are things that, definitely help when you are just working, playing music. And I did that for years. And I may again soon, just go back to gigging and touring. But, you know it's easy to give back to a community and to support people in a community when you have been the beneficiary of that same love.
Right.
And I mean, my second day here, I got a call from Slade Cleaves. I didn't even know my phone number yet, and he had me out playing at the Cactus with him and Lori McKenna, who's a brilliant songwriter. I was like, 24 years old. I had no idea what was going on. And
Wow.
then from that, he introduced me to a lot of people, and great artists and great humans and other people in the music industry here, and just other cool folks.
Mhm.
And and then other people would do that for me as well. I'd meet someone, and so I try to act that way. And I know a lot of other people do too, because pretty much, I mean, there are some native Austinites. Jane
Mhm.
Ellen is one.
Mhm.
Susanna Schoffel. There's a few, but most of us came from someplace else,
Yeah.
and somebody had to like open up their arms a little bit when they got to town. And I'm so sorry, my thing's binging. That's coming through.
That's okay. I'm in like the biggest storm ever right now out here on Lake Travis.
It's
Are
I
you
could
having
see it.
it?
It's not so bad here, but it is raining, and I was hoping it
Oh
wasn't.
my God.
But we need the rain. We need the rain.
Oh, I'm loving it, but I'm like, oh, I can see out my window right here. It's just like,
Well, Oh, but yeah, anyway, so I think that there's a lot to be proud of in Austin, and I think that there's when I moved here, and I don't want to sound too crazy, get off my lawn about it, but there were a lot of one thing that hasn't really changed is that the money that artists make for a lot of gigs that maybe aren't glamorous gigs really hasn't changed that much in about 20 years, and I don't know if it's changed much in 30 years. Um, so when we moved here, we knew that I lived in LA. I wasn't ready to go back there. I couldn't afford New York. I knew that. And then Nashville, it just didn't seem like the place for us to go.
Mhm.
So the joke was it was a lot easier to starve in Austin, and it was.
Mhm.
Um, but I was working, like, I mean, I was playing, I don't know, 5, 6 days a week. And a lot of it wasn't cool. Some of it was, I played the Cactus a lot, um, the Cactus Cafe.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of like grocery store gigs and winery gigs and
Yeah.
the airport. I played a lot at the airport. And wherever it would, I could plug in a PA. If they would pay me a couple $100 or $100, whatever, I would do it. And I was able to make my rent, and I was able to, live in a cool place, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it's a little harder for people to do that now in Austin, but I think it's still possible to get your feet wet, to get in the door. And there are new opportunities where other people want to showcase you, and or you can get on with some. The reach of Austin has grown quite a bit, I think, at least to a national and in some respects international level, where everybody always thought it was cool, but now we actually have some mechanisms to get artists noticed in other places, or they have the fuel to get out there or know people there, um and maybe they can grow. Music is a job. If when it comes down to it, this is your business. If you're doing it for a living, um it's a great job. If it works, it's awesome. but
Mhm.
uh but if you can help grow your thing, and go to Europe, or go to the West Coast, or go to the East Coast, or wherever, and then you can come back. Um, you're going to be you're gonna be that person that everybody looks at and it's like, hey, they did it. I can do that too.
Mhm.
And hopefully, if you're depending on who you are, or if you want to help somebody else out, then people will know that you have experience out there, and maybe you can give them some guidance. Wouldn't say to give them your phone book or anything, but you could tell
Right.
them maybe what not to do,
Yeah.
which sometimes helps. Or if there's a gig on the way, like this is a long trip. Here's a place that's, 5 hours from nowhere, either direction. Maybe you should hit them up and try to do that. And that'll
Mm.
save you some heartache, and maybe make a couple bucks in the way. So
Yeah. Yeah, so many people have to, I think it's a big decision on like when for a musician to try for that full-time thing, I've talked to a few on this show where it's like they just done it and it's like it's a lot of pressure and yeah, it's kind of scary, I'm
it's
sure.
yeah, it is very scary.
Super
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking of doing other things, so you still work with the House of Songs, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that because I was on their website and checking that out. It seems so cool, and the alumni are amazing.
Yeah, well, there will be a new website very soon.
Okay.
Hopefully by the time this comes out, there'll be a new
Oh,
website.
so
Uh,
almost.
I
Okay.
hope so, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, so the House of Songs is an international nonprofit now. It's been a nonprofit for 6 or 7 years, and it started in 2009, and it was based on this songwriting, co-writing. It's based on co-writing, but our founder, Troy Campbell, he had gone to and been invited to a songwriting workshop on an island off the coast of Denmark. And he didn't really co-write, and then like he went to this thing, and there were some great artists there, and he wrote a bunch of songs, and he wanted to do bring that to Austin. Really wasn't. Nashville's very big on co-writing. You've heard these stories about people meeting at Denny's at 9
Mhm.
a.m. and they write the next big country song or whatever.
Mhm.
But at that time, co-writing in Austin really wasn't a thing. Everybody kind of just did their own stuff. Maybe you wrote with the people in your band or whatever like that. But so the idea was born there, and then the Danish government was a partner for a while, um, and then it existed for years as a LLC business that was funded mainly from foreign arts councils, because it's weird for Americans if they don't know this, that other countries really do support art and monetarily support art. And so what people would do is they would apply through their artist associations in these different countries, and then they would come to us with some candidates, and we would curate who we thought would get the most out of coming to Austin and writing with some of our artists here. And then that grew to where we worked with, I believe it was 33 or 34 countries was the last count. And we eventually had, about 7 years ago, we became a nonprofit and opened a second location in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas. And so we have those two active right now. We just got a new house in Austin. And that's how I got involved. Was Matt, the electrician, was actually doing the booking for the co-writes at the time. And he asked me to come in and write with some people, and I did, and I enjoyed it. And then I did it again, and then I did it again. I did it quite a bit with a lot of Scandinavians and Canadians, and
Wow.
um, and then around the time my daughter was born, she turns 8 in a couple of days.
Oh,
So around the time she was, yeah, I'm very, that's the biggest thing to clap for.
yeah.
Um, I haven't screwed up too bad yet. So, but I wanted to do something where I wasn't on the road as much. I was touring a lot before she was born, and on a lot of those tours, I was breaking even on a good tour. Sometimes you make some money, sometimes you lose some, but I knew I wanted to be closer to home and still be active. So I got a hold of Troy, and I ended up kind of taking over. Matt ended up not, he was going back on the road himself, and then he kind of handed off those duties to me, and then it's just grown and grown, and it's kind of ballooned. So
Mhm.
it's a full-time gig. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's just a lot. It's a lot to do. But when I get to see artists, and I get to kind of play mad scientist, and get people and curate these special events, so I can kind of go, and I go a lot by word of mouth and of other people I respect. If they recommend somebody, and then kind of curating these summits where we get 6 people together to live in a house for a week, and then they write 20 songs in a few days, and then they record them, and then we go to a festival, and they put on all new music. So it's helping to create new friendships, which really are the big takeaway. When those people they work together later, they tour together later, they'll introduce their new friends to their old friends, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then the creation of new music, which I think that's important.
Mhm.
And it's a really great way to meet somebody new. When I get to write when I haven't written with anybody in a long time, because I'm busy doing the other stuff. But when you meet somebody for the first time, it doesn't matter where they're from. If both of you identify as a songwriter,
Mhm.
um, and sometimes I've joked about this, and it hasn't gone over very well, depending on what nationality I'm talking to or where I'm at. But it's kind of a weird sickness in my brain that this is something you've chosen to,
Mm.
this is your label that you self-apply. But
Yeah.
if you do that, and that's really how you look at yourself, and you are active, and there's definitely a screw loose somewhere, but you're gonna meet somebody else who also feels that way about themselves. So there's this language beyond actual verbal language, the language of being that person, being a creative, being a songwriter, that you'll find common ground, and then you're going to bond with that person. And if the song sucks, or if you even get one out, that's kind of the secondary thing. It's
Mhm.
more really about connecting people throughout the world, and then hopefully opening up other opportunities for them in the future. So that's what I do all day. All day.
Are you, I mean, obviously you're super talented and creative and can write an amazing song and play instruments, but Are you also good with like a spreadsheet? Are you organized? Do you enjoy doing that?
No, I don't. I
Like,
do not at
let's
all.
let's dive deeper into Graham Weber.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't. You're
I
not
am not good with them. I don't like doing them at all. Um,
really.
no, I
No
don't.
satisfaction in the organization.
No, I have to do it. I mean, I have to just so I
Yeah.
can keep. We have so many things going on all the time, and it's a
Yeah.
very, very, very small staff right now,
Yeah.
especially. So, I was looking at a spreadsheet today. It's really like it's like the ninth circle of hell for me.
How
I
did
don't,
I
I
know?
don't enjoy spreadsheets at all. Uh, I don't even like I'll type lyrics and stuff just so I know I won't lose them, and I think it
Yeah.
helps me remember them.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm still like a pen and paper guy, and it's a lot. That's weird, random serial killer looking scraps of paper all over the
Yeah.
place. I don't think that way. That so yeah, I'm definitely not a. I'm not terribly organized. You wouldn't want to see this desk right now. It is not cool. But I have the utmost respect for the people that are organized that way, and I love working with them.
Yeah.
Um, I don't have someone at House of Songs right now that I
Yeah.
can like hand stuff off to him like, hey, could you put this into it needs to be in a spreadsheet. This
Yeah.
will be
Yeah. Could
better
you
for
just take
everybody if it
this
is.
file?
Yeah,
Just
right.
collate these.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
really, but and some people really like that. I have friends, especially friends that are like stage managers or tour managers
Mhm.
that are awesome at that and they
Yeah.
really enjoy it. Like they
Yeah.
find joy in it. Um, and I just am not wired that way. But
Yeah.
I do
And
like
you
to
know
know
what?
things are done, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And there's no, I really truly believe like there's one isn't better than the other. It's just, it's the beauty of the brain. And I think it's so cool. I'm just so interested in the way that people's brains work. There's no judgment. I love a messy desk. I love a clean desk because both of them are very informative and productive. And like, I, I think that they're both wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. But I
Yeah.
think a clean desk is really nice. Like I love the look of it.
Sure.
I
Well,
aspire to
but
have
but a clean desk, I think that a clean desk, like always clean, what's happening? Like where's the meat on the like where's the you gotta make a mess, don't
yeah.
you?
I
Yes.
I think you do. I
Yeah,
think you
I
do.
think you do need like 1,000 pieces of notes. Like you think of something, you write it down. Like I think that that's what's going on in our brains these days anyway, right? We're so like scattered and 30
Well,
seconds, like 10
isn't
seconds.
it funny though? There's so many organizational tools now, where and I mean I've tried and I've
None of
done
them
that
work.
with work too, and with other things, and with the band had done that in the past too. Where like there were Slack channels, and there's all kinds of these different, and like nothing really ever works for me. It's just another place to push more stuff. It's like, well, maybe I left it in this weird app,
Yeah,
or
I
maybe
was
I left
just
it in
having
this
this
app. Yeah,
conversation. I was just
just
having this
more
conversation.
drawers to fill up with knickknacks.
Yeah, I'm resolved in that the only tech thing that I will do is to like because I'm all about like I just need a landing pad because I love pen and paper too. And I'm a list gal, like love it, but it has to be on paper. But the only digital thing I do is what comes with the iPhone is the reminders app, and you
Hmm.
can share lists with people
Yeah.
and it's
Yep.
so fantastic. And you just need that's not a lot for someone to buy into. Slack, that's a big buy-in. All these
Yeah, it is. It is.
Asana and Monday and all these like big things, like sorry, I gotta you gotta aim real low with people's buy-in.
Yep.
So I just share reminder lists and you make your own for that person, share it, and then you can just have it there.
Brilliant. I haven't used reminders. I share notes a lot.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. The thing about
I'll try that.
reminders is you can check it off as being done and it goes to the bottom and it goes like turns a different color so you can see that that person has done something and if you
Oh
want
yeah.
to clear it you can clear it but notes it's kind of like how do you communicate that something's been done, or you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really. Do you want me to share a list with you, Graham? And
Share
we
a
can
list with me. Yeah. Make it fun.
okay.
Otherwise I'll just shut down. Like, this is one more thing I have to do. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if
So
it's fun, I'll totally do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I do love it. I do love it, and it works. Um, question for you: how do you? So you have a wife of almost 20 years. Happy almost 20th anniversary,
Thank
everybody!
you.
Yay! That's amazing, and I bow to you.
Proud
Still haven't figured that one out over
of
here,
her. I
but
mean,
that's a different episode.
yeah, yeah.
So 20 years married. That's amazing and so beautiful. You have an almost 8-year-old daughter,
Hmm.
which I see your little bagels posts, and it's the cutest thing ever. And she's so
Thanks.
beautiful.
She
And she
is.
looks just like you.
Oh no, I hope not. I think she looks like her mom.
She does. And does she have your dimples?
I
Oh,
don't know. I don't
yeah.
know.
You
I'll have to
can check.
look.
I feel like you have dimples under there. Um,
I don't know what is going on over
yeah,
here.
I'm
I've
not
had
sure.
this beard so long now. I'm
Like,
afraid to shave it. I don't know what I look like anymore. I used to be okay. A
I'm
long
sure
time
it's
ago.
just fine. So my question to you is, how do you take care of yourself? How do you juggle it all? You sound really busy. I know you're busy. And then there's that creative thing that kind of, if you're like me, my brain is always kind of wanting to be creative, but then if I have to do something that's work or whatever, like how do you manage it all? What are some things that you really try to do, and like little places where you try to stay tethered?
Well, I'm not very good at it.
Neither.
I overcommit myself every day. And I don't sleep well. I'm not very healthy. I mean, I'm not like, drug addled or anything, or like, sleeping in the gutter or anything, but I'm trying to be better about personal. I hear people talk about things. I was broke for a long time. So like when there's work, like I'm like, I gotta do this because maybe it won't be there again tomorrow. I don't need to feel that way so much. Probably I feel that way more than I need to,
It's
you
that
know.
survival mode that's
Yeah.
really tough to get out of. So you're not alone in that. Yeah, I think that that's really hard to get out of.
Yeah, it's not easy. But my daughter is a big part of something where I will shut off everything and just focus on her. My few hours during the school year, I only really get, like, I'll take her to school in the morning. She gets picked, and that's early. And then if I pick her up, then maybe I have maybe 3 hours, if that. But generally, I'm working, or she's got homework now. There's that kind of stuff. So, and she
Mhm.
wants to do her own thing. She'll want to watch. She loves The Simpsons, so like that's great for me because I also love The Simpsons. So we can like spend some time doing that. But
Yeah.
those are that time is like my happiest time where I can just really focus on watching her grow up and being and spending time with her, and hopefully imparting some sort of wisdom and having just that relationship. That's a big thing. I tried really hard to stay up with my friends. I haven't been very great about it in the past few months. But friends out of town, friends from other parts of my life, um, that's something and this is in no self-aggrandizing way, but it's something I pride myself on, is I have been able to keep up relationships with people that I care about,
Mhm.
even if they're not, if I don't see them at all in a year. I like to stay up with them and see what's going on. Social media helps that sometimes. Um, there again, I'm trying not to be on that as much as I had been in the past. But a good phone call, 10 minutes with somebody
Yeah.
that there's a lot of I've been very blessed in my life to have so many people that um I really truly consider friends and I really care about. And I don't want to. It's very easy to get too busy to not check in with them. So that's kind of a good therapy thing. I
Mhm.
do the online therapy now. I've had to start doing that because it was getting a little heavy.
Mhm.
Uh and I watch, my baseball team's finally winning, so that's a little. I can tune out. I find like sport, like that's I will like my football team, my baseball team, and I don't go crazy about every sporting event, but I try to follow my squads, and like just
Yeah.
because it kind of ties me to like, you know, some friends and my father and some things like that too. But also uh it's just totally mind numbing and there's nothing you can do about it. And I really enjoy that where it's like this is I have nothing I do is going to change this. This
Yeah.
is like a couple of hours where I don't know exactly what's going to happen, and that's okay. You know, you can
Mhm.
just like shut off.
Mhm.
Um, I know during in the fall, like I my guitar guru and I have the same football team, so I will go. We found that out like the first time I brought my guitar to him years and years ago, and we've watched every game together pretty much for the past, I don't know, 16, 17 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
when uh when my daughter was a baby, I was like, no, I'm just gonna stay home and watch. And then I like kind of it's my time to like vent, and I can yell at a television. It's very therapeutic.
I
It
love
scared
it.
the hell out of my daughter, so that ever since then, like we split the NFL Sunday ticket, and I go to his house and I scream at his TV for 4 hours every week, and then I come home and I'm a little more zened out, you know.
Who's your
So
team?
I'm an owner of the Green Bay Packers. I'm a
Oh,
shareholder and very proud of it.
okay. Do you have a,
It's like my Trekkie thing, man. It's like my nerdiest thing. I'm a
I
super
love
dork for the
that.
Packers.
Do you
Yeah.
have a cheese wedge?
I have a few of them.
I would
Yeah.
think that you would. Yeah. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
I could get behind Green Bay. I feel like yeah. I used to be really, really into football. I used to collect I had two older brothers, but I was total tomboy and like so super into football. So I used to collect cards, and Houston Oilers were my first favorite team.
Oh wow.
Um, and then, you know, my Minnesota Vikings, and then I love the Bills and the Giants and all that. But I don't have passion for football anymore. But if I
I don't
see a
think I
Packers
would.
game, I'll cheer for them for you.
Please do.
Yeah,
Please
I will.
do.
Yeah,
If you want to come to Lambeau South sometime, you can. That's what we call his back porch. So
I'm so there with the cheese hat ready.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's incredibly nerdy, but it's you know, we do all the tailgating and everything it's like I don't go to church. I don't do any of that stuff, you know. But I do this is like my thing that I do, you know. It's like
Yeah,
some traditions I like to you have to have something to hold on to, I guess.
you really, really do. And I will say that Packers fans always seem like really, really nice people. I think that for me is important now. Is like, sorry, but Cowboys fans, like, I don't like them. You know what I mean?
Well,
Probably should stay quiet about that.
yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth, but I
Okay.
know how I feel about it. The problem is I hated the Cowboys when I was a kid, and then I moved to Texas, and some of my favorite people are the poor guys. They're Cowboys fans too. So
Okay.
like,
You
you
can,
know,
yeah.
they're it doesn't but Vikings fans, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't put up with it. I guess
Ooh, then we
that's our
should
one.
be in the room together during
Yeah.
the game.
There's a guy, do you know have you ever talked to Jesse Duke? He's a great
Oh.
guitar player, and he when he's not on the road, he's always on the road with different bands. And we used to when I first moved here, his band and I would we were on a lot of shows together and we became good buddies. Love him to death. He works at Austin Vintage too, and he's the only person I trust with my amplifier.
Uh-huh.
And but he's a Vikings fan. And so like every time and Leo Rondu is one of my favorite, maybe the best male country singer that I know. And he's also a Vikings fan. So generally when we play, I will not have heard from those guys like all year. And then I'll get these weird texts, you know, or not weird texts, but like, you know, just ribbings. Um,
Yeah.
it's fun. And there
See,
again, like
that's
that's another
fun
thing.
though.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fun.
supposed to be fun. It's
Yes.
lighthearted. I don't take it too seriously anymore. There are some people with everything could take things too seriously, but not I don't think you should really cry over any sort of game, especially if you're not playing in it.
Right.
Um
It's a good
but
point.
yeah, I don't know. I'd enjoy bowling. That's a very therapeutic
Yeah.
thing for me when I get a chance. I
I
like to
like
bowl.
bowling too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's a it's not a glorified, you know, celebrated sport, but it is fun to do it.
It is. It's
Yeah.
great.
Maybe not to watch it, but
No, no, I don't sit and watch it, but I I like used to go years ago in Cincinnati when I'd moved back from LA and I didn't have a job, and like I would just go and I'd put on like headphones, and it was worse because this was before digital technology. So I
uh-oh.
had like a Discman, and I would put my headphones on and like bowl, and it would skip every time I rolled. But I would just go by myself and bowl in the middle of the day, and there'd be like me and like the pin guy and the shoe guy with the spray, and that was it. And just like zone out. It was great. I might start doing that again.
Hey, you
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Solo bowling.
Yeah, during the day, you could probably do it for because it gets expensive like at night.
Yeah.
So maybe during the day, there's like, matinee prices.
Maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's worth
hopefully.
looking into.
You
Yeah.
should look into that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could talk forever. But let's remind everybody that you have some exciting stuff coming up. So why don't you tell them starting next month, third release?
Sure. So in July, Restos it'll be our last show for our summer series at Central Machine Works.
Mhm,
We'll be there on the 29th of July, and our good buddies Harvest Thieves will open the show,
mhm,
and love those guys to death. And then August 3rd, we start our every Thursday residencies from 6:30 to 8:30 at Sea Boys on South
mhm,
Congress. And September 29th, we will have our album release show at the Continental Club. So we have a couple more singles coming out. One is in the middle of July. There'll be a video for that as well, and then there'll be one at the end of August, I think, is the last. They'll do another single, and then we have another video after the record comes out. So there'll be a lot of stuff coming out. There's new shirts and hats, and you can get all those things at Central Machine Works.
mhm.
And um yeah, I
I
think that's
mean, that's a
most
lot.
a lot. There's stuff. Yeah.
There is stuff. You're definitely doing it. I'm so happy to finally get a chance to talk to you and to get a little peek behind the curtain and see what you're up to. It's so, so good. So, everyone, please make sure you get out there, and I'll push all of this out as well as it becomes, timely to do that. But thanks so much for coming on, Graham.
Thank you so much for having me, Kat. This has been a lot of fun. I can't believe we talked about bowling and so many
No,
things that I wasn't planning on talking about, but I'm very glad that we did,
just
because now
never
it's on
know.
it's the record. It's on the record
Yeah, and now people
forever.
know like what to get you for a gift. Like, what do you get Graham Weber? Well, I mean, he likes bowling, guys.
Bowling shoes, a new
Ooh, yeah.
glove. You know, holidays are
Or
only 6 months
glove.
away.
Do you
So
wear a glove or is it
I,
like
I
the
don't. I don't.
support? Some people wear those like weird support thingies.
I have one. I got one years ago. It didn't really do anything for me. I bought it at the pro shop or whatever you call it at that bowling
Yes,
alley.
you did. You
Yeah.
really picked that thing out, didn't you?
Yeah. I, I think I was bowling more frequently at the time, and it does take I don't know. It's not your body. I don't think is supposed to bend that way, like your hand. It's I don't know.
Uh, yeah. So it's like a protector against maybe carpal tunnel or something like that.
I think that's what it was, but I haven't used it, and I don't even know where it is. I
Dust
don't.
that thing off. Get that thing out.
I'll get it out. I'll play shows in it because it's this hand, and I'll
You're
use
like,
it as
bang,
a
bang, bang.
giant weird pick.
I love it. All right. Graham Weber, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks,
That,
Kat.
of course. That does it for this episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thanks for watching. And be sure you follow this guy at on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? Off the top of my head, I can't
Oh,
remember.
GDub 5000,
That's right.
GDUB 5000, and then Restos is at Restos Music on social media.
Perfect. Give them lots of follows and lots of, for the analytics and algorithms. Hate that stuff, but we got to do it. All right. Thank you, Graham. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Have a good
guys.
day. Bye.
You too.